Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. The story of the movie is about a young boy named Vitas who can play the piano and do math well. When he is 6 years old, tests have demonstrated that he has an intelligence level of 180. His mother is British. Helen pushes her son to practice constantly because she wants him to become a famous pianist. Dad Leo is a little bit of a wizard. He has created a novel hearing aid that he hopes will improve his company's financial situation. Naturally, with the project's meticulous work, he has little time for his son. In addition to having a highly developed musical sense, Vitas has a hearing impairment that is almost fatal. This is demonstrated when one day he takes a stab at the delicate directional receivers in a headset created by his dad, Leo, a listening device creator. At some point, Mama Helen is called to Vitas' kindergarten, where she's educated by the head educator that her child is far in front of different children. Due to Vitas' exceptionally brilliant mind, he struggles to fit in with his classmates when it comes to his studies. The head educator suggests Helen enroll Vitas in a live-in school rather than kindergarten. Just then, Helen gets a call from her husband Leo, who tells her that his newly developed, technology-friendly hearing aid helped him get promoted at work. Helen promises her son, Vitas, that he will no longer have to attend kindergarten because they will now have enough money to hire a private babysitter. She is overjoyed. This is unfortunate news for our young genius. His parents, who spend most of their time working, give him instructions on a regular basis. He feels trapped at home, unable to play or behave normally, even as a young boy. When Vitas' parents leave him with a new babysitter named Isabel, who is only a few years older than him, the only wish Vitas has is for him to be like other kids that night. Vitas is already irritated by his parents' lack of time for him and wants to be left alone. Regardless, Isabel sits by his side quietly while he reads to himself a bedtime story. We discover that the kid's just asylum is his capricious granddad. His grandfather is the only person he can completely confide in and the only one who gives the young Vitas the freedom and space he needs to be himself. He spends his days endlessly tinkering in his tool shop and still has the dream of becoming a pilot for the rest of his life. In the following scene, we see Blackball and his granddad preparing for a local party. His father is throwing a party to advertise his new hearing aid. Vitas gives in because he is too reluctant to dress up for the event. One of Leo's coworkers is skeptical about the new hearing aid when his grandfather cheers him up at the party with some silly tricks. So the partner continually scorns Leo's work, unhesitatingly saying that the item will before long go down the market. In any case, Leo is hopeful, so he guarantees that the interest for the portable hearing assistant will before long lift. The coworker continues to question visitors' piano skills. He gets a few refined verses sheet from the kid's training table and shouted that Vitas wouldn't have the option to play such a perplexing melody. However, despite veterans' resistance, Leo and Helen have their son play the piano and demonstrate his exceptional talent, putting his doubts to rest. The guests, including the mean coworker, marvel as they watch our prodigy play the piano in the following scene. Afterward, one of the visitors suggests Helen perceived her child's ability and cultivate his abilities. He takes note of that Blackballs is an extraordinary kid, so he wants to go to a unique school, like a confidential music foundation. In the meantime, our young boy has grown weary of the unfamiliar people who surround him. He sneaks under the curtain to avoid the crowd. Then, from his hiding place, he puts on one of his father's hearing aids, takes out his small binoculars, and watches the guests. He clearly hears and sees what people are discussing and taking advice from their guests at that moment. Leo and Helen make the decision to send their son to a specialized music school. The young boy is initially turned down by the institution because he is too young to be admitted. But because of Vitas, he has exceptional piano skills and intelligence. The school's organization chooses to enlist our genius. Vitas is clearly dissatisfied with the decision. Soon thereafter, he won't emerge from his room as he believes his old piano educator should keep giving him examples. Yet again his temperament is inspired when he invests some quality energy with his granddad at the elderly person's hardware store. Some furniture is worked on by the duo. Vitas's grandfather discusses his aspiration to become a pilot or, more specifically, a pilot. At some point after that, they make improvised wings, and Vitas swears and plays with his grandfather. Teaches him to use a saw and cut wood as well. Helen suddenly appears at the scene and sprints toward her child while Vetus is doing so. She chastised Vetus in a worrying manner for experimenting with potentially lethal tools like the axe. Also, asks him to never contact it. The unfortunate kid tragically obliges his mom. Vetus is left alone with Isabel, his babysitter, over the course of the day. He develops a close friendship with a young girl who wants to be a rock singer while his parents are busy at work. Someday, most nights, they spend moving and singing around the house. Mike and Vitus are joined by Isabel at his piano practice, playing the songs he likes best. One evening when both parents arrive late, a full bottle of champagne is consumed by Vitus and Isabel, which causes them to pass out. Leo and Helen are shocked to find the kids in a drunken state when they return home. In light of this, Helen fires Isabel. The main companion blackballs had this makes him blow up as he loses books the racks bitterly. He likewise figures out how to lock his mom out when she goes to deal with a conveyance. Following this, Helen shouts her child's name from outside the entryway, yet Hatchling wouldn't reply. All things considered, he goes to his training table and starts playing the piano uproariously. The young boy does not respond to the door, even during the night. Also, his dad has shown up from work. Leo, as well, makes an honest effort to open the lock entryway, yet without much of any result. He yells at Vitos, but the young boy continues playing the piano and appears uninterested. The following scene abruptly jumps ahead a few years. Reuters has been around for 12 years. He keeps on being disappointed with his limited and controlled life. He goes to what could be compared to school and doesn't coexist with either the understudies or his teachers. He ridicules his teachers to demonstrate his knowledge and make them appear stupid, despite his exceptionally gifted intelligence. Vetus is frequently in trouble as a result, but the boy doesn't seem to care. He is worn out on the way he's been living for the recent years. In one such occasion, where Helen is brought in for a parent-educator meeting to examine veterans' egotism and profoundly gifted nature, the class educator suggests Helen enlist her kid in an exceptional school. Helen realizes her child is exhausted as he isn't adequately tested with an ordinary secondary school educational program at age 12, yet she and Leo likewise don't have any desire to send him to one of those unique schools that she refers to as zoological gardens. As a result, she decides to let Vitus attend the school rather than following the teacher's advice. Leaving tests so he can join the college in the following scene, Helen keeps on tormenting her child by making him practice piano consistently for quite a long time. That is also in opposition to Vitos. Vitus clearly despises this daily chore and only wants to be like everyone else. Rather than being a piano wonder, at some point, Helen takes Decrease to meet an undeniably popular musician named Gina. In any case, the gathering doesn't go as expected. When the young boy insults Gina and refuses to play in front of her, later, while returning home, Helen shouts at her child for not complying with her orders and advises him that there are a great deal of children who might do anything for an open door like this, unwilling to maintain the status quo. Vetus devises a clever scheme that makes him appear to others to be a normal young boy, instead of as a wonder. He does this by faking a head injury by jumping off the balcony using his grandfather's improvised wings. Later on at the emergency clinic, the specialists informed Helen and Leo that Vetus has experienced just minor head wounds right now, however they can't rest assured about the harms later on. Vetus regains consciousness and pretends to have lost his memory later. He even behaves like he's failed to remember how to play the piano, pulverizing his folks. The doctor also tells Helen that Vitus's IQ has dropped from 180 to 120. In spite of the fact that his vitals are typical for somebody his age, the specialist then prescribes Helen give a chance to reject for recuperation. Helen is upset as a result because her child is no longer a prodigy, while Vetus celebrates for having the option to carry on with an ordinary way of life, far from the constant expectations placed on him by his parents. He is now free to be the creative version of himself because there is no longer any pressure to perform. He even makes friends with people his age. Notwithstanding, he misses playing piano, so he visits his granddad's home while the elderly person is out, taking care of the tasks. Blackballs plays the instrument he yearned such a great amount to play for quite a while. His grandfather finds out about the scheme now, without his knowledge. At the point when the elderly person hears him play the piano, fortunately, his granddad vows to stay quiet about it as he invests his energy at his granddad's. Vitas discovers that the elderly person's monetary condition is debilitating. Moreover, Vitas' father Leo is likewise going to be removed from the organization. Since his hearing help items are at this point not the hits on the lookout, he has been causing misfortunes for quite a while. Vito secretly opens a brokerage account under the alias of Dr. Wolf and invests in the stock market using his intelligence and skill at market analysis to support his family financially. He makes a lot of money from it. His grandfather will be able to purchase a flight simulator with the money. In addition, as the cash acquires more revenue. Additionally, his grandfather purchases a pilot for a single-engine P6. He had always wanted to fly one day. Sadly, Vitas, on the other hand, loses his father Leo's job because of the bad midterm review. At a music store one day, the fetus meets a pretty teenager and immediately recognizes her as Isabel. He seeks after her, yet she inclines toward somebody more seasoned and tragically, doesn't return his kind gestures. Regardless, they say goodbye with a bittersweet smile. After that, Vitas is abruptly summoned to the hospital, where he discovers that his grandfather has been injured. Clearly, he fell when he was fixing his rooftop. However, despite swearing to keep it a secret from his parents, the fetus discovers that his grandfather actually fell while trying to fly his aircraft. Despite his efforts to compose a letter for Helen and the family, the grandfather unfortunately succumbs to his injuries and passes away. Vitas decides to assist his father secretly after learning about his father's condition that same night. He enlists an insider lady from the financial exchange and figures out how to purchase his dad's organization, which has been confronting misfortunes. He utilizes his pseudonym, Specialist Wolf, and buys the firm with the cash that his granddad left him. Subsequently, with the assistance of the insider lady, he figures out how to show that Specialist Wolf is, as a matter of fact, his granddad, making his dad, Leo, the company's new CEO. Helen is shown reading the grandfather's letter in the movie's final scene. After having read it, she and Leo finally discovered that he was so smart about vetoes that he fooled his parents, teachers, and even doctors. They are urged not to get mad at Vitas by the elderly man, stating that it was a more suitable means for the boy to escape the world for which he possesses an excessive amount of intelligence. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.